Anybody got time for doing nothing but listening to the Powell Movement?
Welcome to the Powell Movement. I'm your host, Mike Powell, and this week I happen to be on a family vacation in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. If you haven't been here before, don't come. You're better off in Ocean City, Maryland. The crabs are bigger, the people watching is better, and you get to hear that amazing Maryland accent. But you shouldn't care about my family vacation. What you should care about is my guest this week, and I've got Parker White on the show. If you don't know about Parker, well, you're about to. He's one of those skiers that focuses on movie segments, and he'll be remembered for the style that he brings to the table year after year. He also happens to have a great personality, which makes for an amazing podcast. Before we get into the show, I need to thank the Rizzo and Lingo family for inviting us to a private party at Jungle Jim's water park. It was amazing to have the place to ourselves, and even though the weather didn't cooperate, it was a blast. I also want to ask you to tell someone about the podcast. I also want to ask you to follow me on Instagram at The Powell Movement. And as I mentioned, I'm currently on vacation right now. I figured I might as well have a contest to win some rad Spy 50/50 sunglasses and a pair of Spy goggles. All you need to do is tag me in your Instagram story, and my favorite picture that I'm tagged in, well, that will be the winner, and I'll post the reason why in my Instagram story on August 12th. That's my Spy contest. Now I want to thank the rest of my sponsors. They are Evo, Stanley, and the 10 Barrel Brewery. Now, let's talk with Parker White. When we talked about setting up this podcast, you had texted me, and the first thing you said was, do you remember the first night that we met? And I thought I did, but my memory is pretty fuzzy. And I don't remember, so can you enlighten me to the first time we met?
I think it was like 2009, I want to say, 2010 U.S. Open in Colorado. And you were signing a mutual friend of ours to K2 at that time. Do you remember this?
Was this Decke?
Yeah.
I don't remember the whole story.
I was going to leave Decker's name out in case you got embarrassed or something, but you were just like, yeah, man, I'm so stoked to have you on board. We got the whole team here. Everyone's really excited to meet you, so we're just going to get a quick drug test out of the way from you, and then we're just going to head to dinner, and I'm so hyped to have you on board, man. So just make sure everything checks out, and then, yeah, we're good to go. But you let him sit on it for a while, and he came back to Sean and all of us. He's like, dude, like, I'm taking a drug test for K2 skis. I had no idea that's part of the deal. He was, like, really sweating, like, I'm not going to get signed. And he came back and he's like, Gaze, like, we do this? And I'm fucking with you, man. He was like, we're going to go get dinner. Like, it's all good. Let's go.
And I would say he was one of my favorite K2 athletes, an all-around good guy. And you're up here in Seattle. This is not your home base by any means, although you spend a lot of time in Washington, it seems like, when it snows. But you're here for stunt school.
Yeah.
What is stunt school?
Stunt school, it's like a 3-week course, and they basically teach you, like, all of the foundation you need to know to be a stuntman for, like, commercials, Hollywood films, whatever.
Are you going to be lit on fire?
Yeah, in the 3rd week, we light ourselves on fire.
That's pretty cool.
It is, yeah.
What else do you get to do?
I've only done it for a few days now, but it's mostly, like, choreographed fighting, like, learning how to take a hit or manipulate a hit to make it look, oh, that was so painful, but you're actually, okay, so it's some smoke and mirrors.
Okay.
Or just creating an illusion, but I've learned, too, a lot of it is, like, you put on a pad and you take a hit. Yeah, the other day, like, at the end of class, it was just 10 minutes of me and this girl swapping a, like, little belly pad, and you just wind up and kick each other in the stomach. And that would be, like, the end of the fight, and that was, like, the whole exercise. It was, like...
And you just have to take it?
Yeah, you just take it. So it's, like, a mixture of, like, creating illusions and learning how to do that so you don't kill the person. It's a trip, dude. It's funny. It's pretty cool. It's intense, too.
Do you have a fighting background, or are you just kind of figuring this out as you go?
No. The fighting and acting is definitely, like, the toughest thing for me. I, like, skate and ski and everything. So when it comes to, like, the jumping and the air sense and the crashing, I can do that.
You know how to fall and you'll roll with it, and you can do big drops and stuff that you need to do.
Yeah, I have good air awareness. But any choreographed fighting where you're learning the moves back and forth or acting, I'm a terrible actor. That's what I'm, like, really working on. And the tumbling and rolling and everything, I'm doing okay.
The goal, I would think, is you're looking out for your future. You can only be a skier for so long, and you can be a stuntman, I would think, for longer. And the payday in stunts, there's a standard where you're not a self-promoter. You're not saying, look at me all the time. I have this many followers, and I'm sure you're not going into negotiations being like, I need more, because I would think that's maybe not your personality type.
Yeah, like in stunt work, it's the opposite, right? You're thug number 5. You're not the A-list actor or the guy on the screen. You're the guy in the background or the guy, the hero, punches in the head or breaks a pipe over him or something like that. You're not saying, oh, look at me, know who I am. You're trying to blend into the background.
Well, I'm just thinking with skiing and contracts, you're probably not going into negotiations with like a hard line of a number that we have to hit. Like you're in it for the fun of the life and experience, and that's just who you are.
Yeah.
But when you get into stunt work, there's union rates.
Oh, yeah.
And so you don't even have to worry about that. Thug number 6 is going to make way more than Skier of the Year does next year.
Potentially, yeah. Depending on the work you get and stuff, it could, yeah.
Yeah. So it looks like a good play for your future that can offset skiing, and you could hopefully be a ski bum for life when people stop paying you and be a stuntman.
Yeah, that would be great. And now it's like stunt gigs too. I mean, you're looking at showing up for a day of work, maybe 1, 2, 3 days tops. They'll usually bring you in for like a scene or a couple scenes, and then you're done. So it's kind of like, I can do this while I'm skiing, and I hope to be skiing and everything for a long time.
Yep.
Professionally and paid. But this is something I can kind of do to supplement income and just like a little on the side.
We'll talk about athletics. You come from a family of non-traditional athletes, per se. I mean, your dad is an Olympic kayaker. Did he go to the Olympics, or was it a boycott that year and he didn't go?
He went to the Olympics twice, and it was boycotted one year under Jimmy Carter.
Okay.
He did compete in the Olympics. He got 4th.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it's a tough one, but... And now he times everything. Like, he always knows the time of everything. And we used to make fun of him for it. He's like, yeah, well, when you get 4th in the Olympics for racing, you know how long a drive takes, like to the second. You know how long everything takes. Yeah, and then my mom ski raced professionally on the East Coast circuit for a while.
So you were pretty much born into this. It was like you were going to be a skier and on snow really early from the get-go.
Yeah, totally.
You have an older brother named Vesa.
Vesa.
And a sister named Zan?
That's correct, yeah.
Are your parents hippies?
No.
Parker's a pretty modern name. It's like probably really popular nowadays. But those names are definitely not normal. How'd they come about?
I don't really know Vesa, actually. That's a Scandinavian word. Zan is just short for Alexandria.
Okay.
And then Parker's, I think my mom read in a magazine or something. They're not hippies, though.
Okay.
Far from it, yeah.
What do they do?
My mom hand hooks rugs and dyes and sells yarn.
But she's not a hippie.
Not a hippie, though. Just an artist.
Okay.
And then my dad works in finances in bank.
Not a hippie either.
No, he's the athlete. He's like skiing and mountain biking.
All the time?
Oh, yeah, more than me.
Wow.
He's super passionate about it. It's really cool, actually.
Are they together?
No. My dad lives in Montana, in Helena, and my mom lives between like Maine and Vermont.
When do they go apart?
When I was in 5th grade.
Is that difficult?
I mean, it was fine. It was pretty mellow.
They friendly still?
Oh, yeah.
Cool. So not that big a deal. You're an East Coaster. Not that anybody would know it. It seems like you come from Montana, but you don't. You're from Dorset, Vermont, and it's a town famous for being the birthplace of the co-founder of Alcoholics Anonymous. And what else is it famous for?
Jake Burton, I think, went to school in my hometown, Manchester.
Oh, I've been to Manchester. But that's not Dorset, right?
No, it's a town over. That's
Okay.
like where I went to high school. Dorset's not, I don't think it's famous for much.
Yeah, well, Alcoholics Anonymous is a big one. It's touched a lot of people. Did you play any team sports growing up?
Yeah, I played mostly lacrosse. I kind of quit that in like the middle of high school because I just wanted to skateboard and hang out.
Were you good?
Yeah, I was pretty good. I never made like varsity or anything, but yeah, I could play pretty well.
Ski racing starts for you at like 6 years old. Are you excited to ski race and put on spandex and bang gates, or how is that for you?
I never got into spandex. I quit when I was 10, I think, racing. But my dad coached skiing at the Bromley Outing Club, like ski racing.
And Bromley's your mountain?
Bromley's my home mountain, yeah. So I grew up ski racing, but I hated it. From being a little kid, I just didn't like it. I was colorblind, and I like mix up gates. All I wanted to do was jump off stuff. So from pretty young, I didn't like ski racing. I loved skiing, like they couldn't peel me off the ski hill, but I just hated racing. I didn't like being in a track or in gates. And so then I really wanted to do freestyle, and my dad was pretty against it, actually. He was a race coach. I think maybe my mom coaxed him into it a little bit, but they let me do freestyle. They didn't even have a freestyle program at the Bromley Outing Club, and then they started one, and it was like myself and Brian Knowles was my coach, Chuck Minucci later on, Justin Ordway, Travis Thiel. But yeah, They started a freestyle program when I was like 10, and then I joined that, and then it was like full on. It was all I wanted to do.
Did you grow up with Forrest Bailey?
Yeah, well, he was from like over the mountain. We became good buddies and would skateboard all the time together and hang at his house.
Did you snowboard ever or just ski?
No, I would just ski growing up. I just was so involved in skiing. I didn't even think about snowboarding. I snowboard a little now.
What was your first pair of twin tips?
I don't even know the model, but it was like these Fishers. So my dad had some deal through Fishers with like, it was a blue front and camo on the back with like still a pointed tip. And then I had some Dynastar Concepts with like the cow bottoms. My first real pair that I was super hyped on was the Mike Nick Pro Model Lines. And that one I loved because I was right at that age. Oh, I want everyone to know I ride twin tips. And that one sent like a huge rooster tail. Like the back was so cocked up. So it was like, yeah, I'm a twin tipper.
Did you ski a shitload of bumps back then, or was it past skiing bumps? Was it more just jumps and parks?
Yeah, I competed in bumps for a while. That was still an era where you just skied everything. Knowles would have us do javelin turns, ski down the mountain with one ski, bumps, slopestyle, halfpipe, everything. You just skied everything. That was just part of the program.
Around this time, you start competing, but the seminal moment of probably your childhood is Wicked comes out. And that's one of those movies with all the heavy hitters on the East Coast, all guys that become your best friends later on in life. But at that point, when that movie comes out, does that change everything for you, seeing kids from the East Coast in a movie that's a real ski movie?
Yeah. I had seen movies before that. My first movie I really watched a lot was probably Strike 3, because it would just play in the Bromley Outing Club, like on a loop. So I loved Strike 3, but Wicked to this day I think is still my favorite ski film, along with Idea by Nimbus. I'd say that and Wicked were like the two most influential films that I would watch, and yeah, probably two of my favorite ever made. To this day, still.
One of the people in Wicked is Sean Logan, and his brother, Chris Logan's around your age, and back then you guys are kind of head-to-head in contests. You don't know each other well, so you don't like each other because you want to beat each other at that point. Is there any friendship whatsoever, or is it showing up at contests, looking at him and being like, fuck that guy, I gotta beat him here?
That was how it was when we were really young, like before we'd actually really met each other.
Like 6th, 7th grade?
Yeah, probably 6th, 7th grade actually, yeah. It was like a hardcore rivalry. And then we went to school together and met each other and hung, and then we just became like pretty much best friends immediately. And really have been like ever since, which is almost 15 years ago or whatever now, which is crazy.
Thinking about you going to school, so you end up going to a private school, Mount Snow Academy. How far is that from you?
It's like a little over an hour. It's all southern Vermont, yeah. It's even further south than where I'm from.
How do you convince your parents to let you move away from home at 14 years old? Because they have 3, I guess, so maybe it's easy to let one go. But they're pretty much saying goodbye to you at that point when you move away, I would think.
I mean, move away, like I'm an hour away, you know?
But they don't see you every day.
They don't see us every day, yeah. But my dad went to boarding schools and stuff his whole life. Was part of sports programs in private schools and athletics. So he kind of got it just from being an athlete.
Yep.
Okay, we're going to send him to this school and they're going to focus on sports. He understood that. And I stayed at the Academy House the first year. That was kind of crazy. And then I just started living with Chris and his family just during the winters.
Let's go back to the Academy House and it being crazy. Is it like a bunk house with a bunch of 14-year-olds who are away from home for the first time and they're skiing every day and there's one person that's like, hey, you can't do that?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was like. Like, it was like the first year of college happening in 8th grade.
So you're drinking and smoking weed and doing all that stuff at a young age?
Yeah, that stuff was around. Yeah, there was a reason my parents, like, aborted on that.
There's a rumor that the house might have been raided or you might not have been invited back to the house. Is there any truth to that, or is it just time to move in with Chris because you guys became such good friends?
It was time for me to move in with Chris because we were good buddies. There was, like, this big house raid that happened. Looking back on it, it was, like, almost comical because things had gotten so out of control in the house. I mean, we were all young kids at that point. We're, like, high schoolers and pre-high schoolers. And I think a mom had tipped that maybe they smelled a little pot or something. So, yeah, they did a raid, and I think they were expecting to find just a little bit of things, and they brought, like, so much out of that house, and I think it was, like, 16 out of the 18 kids all got suspended for having something, you know, so porn or fireworks or pot or whatever. And I got suspended for, like, a weekend, which was less than everyone else.
What did you have?
I just had, like, a little bit of weed.
Were your parents bummed?
Yeah, they were pretty bummed. They took it well. I remember my dad, The way he explained it to me was really cool, actually. He was like, you're not going to get in a car accident. You're not going to be addicted. It's not going to be that detrimental to your health, but it might prevent you from being the best that you can be at something. And I thought that was really cool and good advice. So
That is great
And
advice.
he was right, yeah. To tell to a young kid, too, so you're not, oh, this is the demon, stay away from it forever. Just, no, realistically, you might be better off without it.
And how are you these days? Do you smoke weed at all?
No.
It's legal in a lot of states. You just say no?
Yeah.
Drink beer?
Yeah, beer's about as far as I go.
Do you drink a lot of beer?
No, I used to, and now I just have a casual beer now and again. That's pretty much it.
You have a reputation, I feel like, just being loose.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I would think you drank more than you did.
Yeah, I think that I used to, too. I think that's probably where that came from. But, yeah, never even hard alcohol or anything. Just would drink just a lot of beer, really.
Do you have a beer sponsor at one point?
Yeah, it was sponsored by Old Milwaukee.
Wow, how do you make that happen?
It was awesome. That was like my good friend Brent, his wife, was doing some marketing for them. She made that really cool pinup girl that was on the can for a while.
Okay. I remember the old Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And I feel like you guys are a marriage made in heaven of athlete and brand.
I know.
You guys fit really well.
Oh, dude, it was the best. They were looking for people to kind of push this new design and make Old Milwaukee young and cool again, Because Old Milwaukee, I think for a lot of people, was like the beer your dad drank.
Or like the cheap beer that you could get in college.
But Old Milwaukee's awesome, dude. So I don't ski for him anymore. I'd ski for him again in a heartbeat. That's like my favorite company ever. Those guys rule.
You're at Mount Snow now. You're not at Bromley anymore. You've moved to a different resort. All these guys that are in Wicked are fucking killing this mountain, and you're seeing it probably every day. But you're too young to hang out with them. They want nothing to do with you guys, I would think, at that point.
Yeah, I was not really skiing with those guys when I was at Mount Snow because I was so much younger. So there was definitely like a disconnect there.
But were you like the T-Dogs that were looking at what they were doing all day long at Mount Snow?
Honestly, like we were kind of on our own program. Like we were in our ski group. That's who you skied with and that's who you skied against. And I really admired those guys kind of after the fact. Like once I'd seen Wicked and realized how good all of them were and who all of them were. But that didn't come until like a bit later, honestly.
Okay. So you move in with Chris's mom and Devin, and Sean's already moved out. The whole Montage crew has moved to California. Is it weird having like a different family? Because if you see Devin, I would think she's like your sister.
Yeah.
And her mom is like your mom.
Yeah, Nancy's the best.
Is that weird having two different families?
No, it's not weird at all. It's really awesome. I feel like I have a few families like that. Especially growing up in southern Vermont, it's really small towns. And you get to know people like their brothers and sisters and second and third and fourth moms and dads and whatever. Everyone's really close. I love having that. It was never weird. No, not at all.
Ski contests at that point when you're at the academy, and are you doing well?
Yeah, I would say usually Chris or I would win for the most part, or we were usually kind of up on the podium of a lot of events. And then once we got to like a higher level of competition, like do tours and things like that, like I never did well at US Opens or any of the high level stuff. But USSA or USASA comps, when I was a really young kid, I would usually do pretty well at. And same thing with Chris. Like he and I, a lot of the times would be one or two.
And what's your deal at contest mentality-wise? Because you seem like the most super laid-back, chill dude, but you also have a hockey temper. Sometimes you see that in videos. When you're pissed and you're not getting a trick, you can tell that you're pissed just by your actions.
Dude, I'm ultra competitive. It doesn't matter. Like I could be in a handstand contest or like playing volleyball with friends. And like I will die to win.
Okay.
So I don't carry that with me everywhere. But if you put me in anything, like I'm trying to win for sure.
If you slam in your run, are you pissed?
Yeah.
Or are you just like, fuck it, dude?
I don't know if I'd get super pissed if I didn't win, but I was trying really hard to win. And I'm still like that, like to the point where I think it's obnoxious for people around me. Like, we're like, yeah, let's go bowling and have fun. And I'm like, cool, like I better get over 100 or like I need to win.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are you really good at? If you were to play me or anybody else, you would probably win.
Racquetball. I can whoop on you in racquetball pretty hard.
Okay.
The things that I invest most of my time into, I would say, is skateboarding and skiing. I'm not good at skateboarding, but I can skate around. That's probably my biggest passion.
I've seen you skate. You're a good skateboarder for sure.
Okay. Yeah. racquetball, skateboarding.
Can you juggle, ride a unicycle, do any kind of crazy
Any
shit?
circus tricks?
Yeah.
No, nothing like that.
Now it is time for me to take a quick sponsor break, and my first sponsor is Evo. And Evo is a store I've been shopping at since 2001. I've always gone there because the people who work there never act too cool. They're kind of the people that are stoked and genuinely want to help. They're like that in all of their stores. Denver, Portland, Whistler, and of course my Seattle store. Their website, evo.com, offers just as much information and all the brands, product, and service for your bike, skate, surf, camp, ski, or snowboard needs. They also offer free shipping on orders over $50, a low price guarantee, and a no-hassle return policy. Evo was started by a good friend, professional skier Bryce Phillips, and they have supported me since day one. Please support them by buying everything you need for your adventures from Evo. My next sponsor is Stanley, another iconic Seattle brand that has been ahead of the curve since 1913. And while we all know Stanley for creating that green bottle that kept your grandpa's coffee hot all day long, they still do that and a lot more these days. When my kid thinks of a Stanley, he's going to remember the beer pint that kept his dad's beer cold for 4 hours, or the classic legendary bottle that magically keeps hot chocolate hot for over 2 full days. But we should all be thinking about Stanley when we drink water. Their water bottles are the best in class, and they are the right choice for the environment. And now, you can save 30% on all products from Stanley when you head over to stanley-pmi.com, buy some stuff, and when you check out, enter the code POWEL, the number 30, and that's all one word, and you're done. Make a difference, save some money, and those are my sponsors, so now we will jump back into the podcast. You've got a strong work ethic. I think that's something that you've always had, is like you're always going to hit the jump longer than other people just because you want to. It's not like, I've got to do this. It's just like you're stoked and you're going to hit this thing more and more and more. But that's not something that's going to get you noticed as much as style is. And I think throughout your career, the first thing people say about you is, oh man, the guy oozes style, or he's got style for days. And style, I feel like, is something where you have to get good at skiing first and then you develop your style. You got to get the tricks down, and then eventually when the tricks get easy to you, then you can kind of make them look how you want them to do. Is that something that you've always thought about as style, even when you were younger?
Yeah. I think that style is the only thing that matters. People aren't remembered for, very few big hucks or work ethic or something like that. People are remembered having a really sick style, and that's what I want to see in other skiers that I'm a fan of. It's because they have amazing style. That's something that comes with skill. Good style is an extension of skill. Like when you're really good, it shows through. Like when you've mastered something, like Tanner Rainville doing a pow slash, B-Dog on rails, DeLorme, Duncan Adams. Those people to me have incredible style, and that comes so much from control. When you're in complete control, you can have really sick style, and that's, an extension of skill. I think that people who are bad at skiing typically don't have good style.
The thing with you and your style is, you had tricks and you were doing well in contests back in the day. You got noticed pretty early on in the whole game. I think there's a couple people that can really be traced back to what helps make you a pro skier. The first influential person, I think, is Patty K. Is he the guy that gets you on Razi?
Yeah. Yeah, Patty K.
He's like a legendary Razi team manager.
Yeah, I'm trying to think how it went. Yeah, it was Patty K, because we were on Razi first, and Patty K introduced Chris and I to Jimbo Morgan at a Vermont Open. I don't even know what year that was, but we were maybe 15, 14. But yeah, Patty K and Jimbo Morgan, and by extension, like Matt Ream, Josh Berman, those people were like hugely helpful for us.
Patty's the one who introduces you to Jimbo. Can you describe Jimbo for us?
Jimbo is one of the most passionate, hardcore, real dudes you'll ever meet, pretty much.
Yeah, he tells it how it is. It's sometimes abrasive. He's always been awesome to me, which is great. He's the first 3-sport athlete. He was a pro skier, snowboarder, and mountain biker.
And Palmer, too, Sean Palmer.
Palmer might have done all 3, but Jimbo was a pro skier, snowboarder, and mountain biker, I think, earlier than Palmer was pro at all 3.
Could have been, yeah.
So Jimbo has a ton of history.
Jimbo was the one who introduced Chris and I even to Berman. It was like Patty K introduced Chris and I to Jimbo. Jimbo introduced us to Berman. And then once we've bbeen introduced to Berman and we're filming with him, then it was everything just exploded and took off.
Totally. Jimbo gets you on Skullcandy and Electric,
Yeah.
flowing you product. Then he gets you invited to the Super Park. And that's when you meet Berman and Friedel, and that's when the relationship starts. And you kill it at that Super Park, and they're like, we want to have this kid come to Sun Valley. We're going to build a huge fucking jump there. This kid's going to kill it there. And that's where, when I say work ethic, it's a shoot like that where you're going to hit the jump 15 times more than anybody else, and you end up at the cover of iTrip that year. People know who you are then. You blow up the next year. I think it's After Dark when you have opening part in that movie.
Yeah, because iTrip kind of allowed me to film full time.
They called you and they said, we filmed with you this year. You're on the cover of iTrip. And next year, we want you to film with us. I don't even think sponsors are paying for you to be in there as much as they want to film with you at that point.
Yeah, I think it's all kind of symbiotic and mutual and everything. I think sponsors were paying people and stuff. But yeah, we went and crushed those shoots iTrip year. And Chris and I both were invited back. And Chris kind of was still competing for a bit, doing detours and stuff. He still filmed, but the first year it wasn't quite a full seg. But I just invested everything into filming, and then it all just snowballed from there. That's still all I've really done. I mean, a few contests.
We've gotten ahead of ourselves, but you convinced your parents to let you move out to Mammoth, and you're like, hey, this is where I need to be for my career. And they're like, all right, well, if you're going to do online courses there, you can do that. Is that a tough conversation, or is your dad so down that he's like, all right, I believe in you, let's go?
Yeah. He was like looking at some programs and structures and stuff, and I had visited Mammoth the year before. So I knew, I was like, I want to be in Mammoth. I want to be surrounded by Montage. That's who I want to ski with. And he was looking at me living in Utah and living with Alex Schlopey and his parents, because my dad knew Schlopey's parents back in the day. But I was like, no, I really want to be in Mammoth. So he just trusted me and let me go out there. And then he came out the next spring to kind of like check up on me. Be like, is my kid alive still? Or whatever. And I was skiing super well. And my dad, who's skied his whole life and coaches racing, knows good skiing when he can see it, you know?
Yeah.
He was just really impressed by me when I was like 16, 17. He was like, oh yeah, we're going to keep this going. Like whatever you're doing, we'll figure out school, but keep doing this because you're skiing really well.
That has to make a kid feel really good.
Yeah.
When his dad comes out and he's like, hey man, I totally doubted you and you're doing the right thing and you're going to stay here and this is awesome.
Yeah, it makes you get really nervous too when you haven't done any of your courses and your dad's coming out to visit and your dad's like the disciplinarian. It's like, Dad, I'm doing something right out here.
Were you able to graduate?
Yeah, I graduated.
On time?
On time, yeah. I walked at my graduation and everything.
That year that you move out there, you move in with Mike Decker, which is Sean Decker's brother.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't do your schoolwork. You had to do that the next year. But there's one day that I have to ask you about. It happens to be my birthday. It's New Year's Eve of that first year there. And I heard about a math equation that might have happened that evening. How many times does 16 go into 50?
Yeah.
And you made out with a 50-year-old at a bar. And that just has to be wild for a 16-year-old kid just living the dream.
Yeah, it was awesome. And that was not the norm.
You were 16. Of course it wasn't the norm.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying like, it wasn't like I was going to bars and doing all this crazy stuff when I was 16. I didn't have a way to get into bars. That wasn't even on my radar. It was just kind of one random night. Someone was working at the bar or something and snuck me in, and yeah. I got some drinks and I started chatting up this 52-year-old lady, and yeah, we full on made out. It was really awesome.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you, man.
Thanks.
That year, I think you end up going to Hood in the summertime. You're no stranger to dirtbagging it, and I think at Hood you live behind the Arc, have a little tent, and dirtbag it, hike up the mountain all summer.
I was coaching, so I had a pass. I was full on just living in this like little... I accidentally got like a junior's tent from Walmart or something like that. It was like the cheapest one, and I didn't read it, which is something I made fun of for now constantly, is just picking up things without reading it and like throwing the shopping cart or whatever. It's like, dude, that was like gluten-free macaroni and cheese. Doesn't taste good. Oh, shit, my bad. But I just lived in like a tiny little tent. I had to scrunch up to fit inside and whatever. But yeah, I just lived behind the Arc, and that was really cool because I got a pass. I got to ski all the time, and I was coaching. I think I'd maybe filmed a seg already. I'd get the really good kids. I was like a pro coach, sort of. So my kids were kind of older and could take care of themselves. So I'd ski with them and tread with them, but really be able to do my own thing. So I'd mostly just go up and session the big jump like super hard. Yeah, I did that for probably 3 years or so. Yeah, in the summers.
And then after iTrip comes out, is that when you pick up Monster as a sponsor and you can forget about selling socks or doing whatever you're doing for work?
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Do they pay enough to where it's a comfortable lifestyle for you and you can, not comfortable, because like I said, you're not afraid to dirtbag it, but where you can travel everywhere you want, have a truck, fill it up with gas, and do the shit you need to do?
Yeah, totally.
Energy drinks, man. They're the best sponsors to have if you like money.
Yeah, they're pretty great.
Do you drink a lot of energy drinks?
No, I don't touch this stuff. I drink water and coffee and the occasional beer now.
Well, I'm going to get another beer. I don't know if you need one. So 2011, you get opening segment in After Dark, and that in itself has to have you freaking out. You've been watching these movies your whole life, and when you see the cover, I'm sure you shit your pants as well of I Trip.
Yeah.
But when you have a segment and it's opening segment, is that when you get Breakout Performer of the Year from Powder?
From IF3, yeah. And maybe even Powder as well, yeah. Rookie of the Year or something.
Mind blown there for you?
Yeah, that was complete dream come true. I just couldn't believe it.
Do you think about that stuff? Do you get excited about that? Or is it just like you go out there and ski hard, and if people like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't?
I think specifically those years, Sunny After Dark, I really had something to prove. So when I was getting that validation, it felt really good. I really wanted to make waves and do something really big and have it be noticed and like justify everything I was doing, you know? That was huge for me. I didn't have any of that. So like I really wanted to go big and put out something really nice. So yeah, when I got awards and everything, like, yeah, that was huge, man. It was really great. And now I don't really care. But yeah, when you're just starting out and you're a young kid, it was amazing. It's a dream.
But then I think about that as you totally want it and you want to get these things. But at the same time, you've never been a self-promotional type of guy who's been like, hey, look at my segment. It's awesome. Check out this. Buy this. Because that's not your personality. And I think you've always been true to your heart and not your wallet.
Yeah, that was never to be like, oh, I want to be famous. It was just for myself. I wanted to be like Sean Decker and Sean Logan, who to me were like the best skiers in the world. These guys are sick. And I think a lot of that mentality came from those guys, because those guys were never tooting their own horn, or they weren't the loudest guy at the party or whatever, but they would go up on slope and, oh, who was that? And they would be crushing harder than anyone else. And I always admired that about those guys and everyone in the montage crew, was there was a quietness to all of it. Like if you were super tooting your own horn, whoa, check me out, and you know, you were like a kook. Yeah, you weren't claiming or anything. There was a real code of ethics of like, we carve our tricks, we grab our grabs, and like, we don't say shit about it. I just kind of adapted everything from those guys. Any like self-promotion stuff, you would have gotten like shit on or something by those guys.
Around Sunny or After Dark, you eventually relocate to Montana. I think you've probably talked about that a bunch before. But what I'm thinking is you get opening segment in After Dark, you get closing segment in Sunny. Every year you have to step up your game with these videos.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel that pressure? Because you don't want a middle part now. Like, you're used to getting a standout part.
Yeah, it was weird because I got the opening segment and then I got the closing segment in Sunny, and then it was like all of the goals I'd set, and I got the cover of the movie and everything. So like those were all the goals I'd set for myself, and then I just kind of fell dormant. Like the Partly Cloudy year, we did the X Games reel ski.
Yep, yeah, like third in that.
Got third in that, but that year I just remember almost being in limbo. Like, what do I do? I don't like this, and I just wasn't motivated. I felt like I just did everything I wanted to do, and then it stopped, and then I was like, well, what do I do now? And then I kind of had that weird in-between year, and then we started the big picture.
Well, the Sunny year is the year that everything comes together from, like, urban park backcountry. People's minds are blown. They're like, holy shit, all this stuff that he's been doing forever, he's doing in the backcountry now. And that's the future of your career. Most people, so as they get older, they just find powder and pillows is really what they live for. And at that point, you've got things on cruise control. If you wanted to film with Level 1 the next year, totally easy to do. If you wanted to film with anybody else, you could get your sponsors to pay for it at that point. But you and Chris decide, hey, we're going to do our own thing. And what's the thought process there? I mean, you guys have a conversation and you're like, yeah, Level 1's been great to us and we like those guys, they like us, but we got to branch off and start our own shit.
Like I said, I'd kind of had lost motivation the year before. And I was like, man, I really want to do something new and kind of like relight that fire. The big picture, if nothing else, was a change of pace. And a lot of that came from the crew at Level 1 was changing a lot. A lot of people were starting to drop off and do webisodes and stuff because that was becoming really popular, especially with like the traveling circus and all these guys.
A lot of Me Too people out there?
A lot of what?
Me Too's out there?
Me Too's?
Well, in terms of copying what the traveling circus was doing.
Oh, yeah, I thought you were talking about a different Me Too.
Come on, man.
I was like, what are you talking about? Yeah, we were copying people for sure, but we wanted to do that, but also the crew was changing. Some weird people were kind of coming on to level 1 at that time.
Who do you consider weird?
Like, I split a segment with the real Ski-Fi. Or I didn't split a segment, I was on right after them. It was weird. It was kind of like the crew was changing, and it was less familiar, and it felt less crew. Yeah, there's just more random people coming in, sort of. And I think that pushed us away a little bit. But also, yeah, we just wanted to like do our own thing and change shit up. And Chris got the ender of Partly Cloudy, and it was sick. So I think he felt the same way. Like, yeah, we kind of did what we came here to do. Let's do something else.
And you guys are like BFFs the whole time?
Like, yeah, totally.
So you guys decide that you're going to start this project. And when you do this, there's a lot of work that goes into it. I mean, it's one thing to come up with the idea. Like, hey, we're going to start something. We're going to call it the big picture, because a lot of athletes have a lot of big ideas. There's a lot of details that go into the big ideas. And step 2 is deciding the model. Hey, we're not going to go traditional DVD model. We're going to give our shit out.
Yeah, we just released everything for free.
Then you have to go through all the planning and getting money. And through these steps, how much work are you and Chris doing?
Honestly, dude, all that work was pretty much Sean Logan.
Okay.
Chris and I are adult children, and Sean is the man behind the scenes making everything happen. So we came up with the idea, and we had the connection to the sponsors. It's like, hey, here's the connections. This is who you need to talk to. And Sean would like make the platform every year and come up with these huge ideas. And Sean took on the brunt of all of the work for the big picture. Like, that was very much so Sean. Chris and I were at the front of that, but that was massively Sean Logan. Yeah.
When you guys put out these free webisodes, or whatever you want to call them at that point, how many people are watching each one?
By the end of it, we would get usually around like 100,000 views or something like that.
Was that not enough for sponsors to keep wanting to pay you, or what was the deal? Because that eventually does come to a close. I think at that point, too, you're also doing Real Ski X Games thing where you get silver. I'm just throwing that in there just because it's part of your resume, per se. But when that comes to a close, is it because of money, or is it because you're just bored of it, or you've hit a new chapter?
Yeah, it was kind of the same as level 1. Like, we'd kind of done it for a few years, and it was a little bit money for sure. Like, we were doing that whole project for like pennies on the dollar, and it was hard to pay Sean what he was actually worth and for the amount of work that he was doing.
Dude, it's a ski industry. You're not going to get shit, and you're a bunch of kids.
It for sure was a little bit. Sean's not getting paid as much as he should, but also we're doing the most with what we have, we felt. Do we just continue to do this every year and have our model and formula not really change and have it become stale? Or while we're still really popular, like, do we just cut this thing off? Like, we had a really good run.
I feel like you're talking about what I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's like we had a really good run. Let's just keep it that way. Like, better to burn out than fade away.
I'd ask a lot of money questions. I'd make it super uncomfortable. I'm
That's
sure
okay.
You're fine with it. How much money are you guys able to pull in from sponsors for one of these internet-based projects where there's no physical, tangible thing in your hand, but there's something on your hard drive?
I don't want to say like a specific number,
Sure.
But people who were doing the exact same thing as us were making like substantially more. So we were doing it for about as cheap as I think that you can do it, because skiing in the backcountry is expensive too. You're not just filming rails. You need snowmobiles.
How much does a day in the backcountry cost per person? Because you would know more than anybody else. If everything goes right, how much does it cost?
You need food, and you need gas. And you need gas on your sled and to get to the trailhead. You can probably easily spend 60 to 100.
We'll go on the high end, 100 per man.
Well, 100 would be a lot. I would say a really high end if you had to fill up your truck and your sled, like maybe $80 or something like that.
And you're going out there with how many people?
Usually 4 of us, maybe.
So $320 a day. How many days are you going out and filming?
I don't know, like every day of the winter.
Okay. So it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Are you able to pull in sponsorship like 50 grand?
No.
You needed a better salesperson.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Speaking of sponsors, we did talk about Monster, and they were a great sponsor to you. How does Monster end? Because energy drinks don't drop athletes like yourself that are bubbling with personality, really cool people that people want to be around. They usually don't drop them. Maybe you quit because you don't drink Monster or any other energy drink, but what happens there?
I don't have a clear explanation for that. My contract year was up, and I was basically just kept calling to renew it, and no one would answer my calls. I couldn't get any emails back, and then one day I finally got in touch with a guy, and he was just like, oh yeah, sorry bro, like it was just never really in our plan to re-sign you, so like, sorry dude. I was just like, well fuck, like when you make a plan that involves that much for an employee, you should just give him some forewarning. So I just thought that was kind of poor form, but at the same time, I've experienced that quite a bit. That's unfortunately kind of the norm. So it's whatever, and I'm doing fine too. It wasn't the end of the world. Now, I honestly think that the reason for that was I didn't have a very good personal relationship with the TM. He and I always kind of tiffed. So I think that it was more than my skiing or anything. I think it was just a personal thing with the TM at the time, and he bailed and just didn't re-sign me, but he never told me or anything, so.
Did you have to post photos of yourself drinking a product you don't drink?
No. I think when I was on Monster, I don't think I even had Instagram or anything like that.
Now it is time for my final set of sponsors, and I'm going to start with Spy Optic. Spy has spent the past 25 years innovating the sunglass game, but more importantly, they've spent 25 years making you look good. To celebrate this 25th anniversary, Spy is re-releasing the MC3, an ode to Jeremy McGrath's original MC sunglass. The new Dirty Mo 2 is a sick update to Dale Jr.'s original Dirty Mo, and the Scoop 2 celebrates Spy's OG Scoop sunglasses, which started it all. If you wear sunglasses and listen to this podcast, it's time to support me, save some money, and make yourself look good. What I want you to do is head on over to spyoptic.com, pick out some sunglasses, head on over to checkout, and you are going to save 20% by entering the code POWEL20, that's all one word and the number 20, and you'll save 20% off. My final sponsor is the 10 Barrel Brewery out of Bend, Oregon. They have been brewing my favorite Northwest beer since 2006. But over the years, and even before they sponsored my podcast, they've been one of my favorite beer brands because they do so much for action sports. They're the first beer to produce their own ski and snowboard movie. They support a team of A-list athletes. They throw an incredible series of events with their Hella Big Air. And they have signature beers that donate to important causes like Protect Our Winners. If all of that isn't cool enough, 10 Barrel also has a podcast there producing Fully Aligned, and it gives you a behind-the-scenes look at 10 Barrel management and culture. Next time you're at the store, please buy some 10 Barrel and support the brand that really makes a difference in the sports we love. To find out more about the beer, the pubs, and everything 10 Barrel, head on over to 10barrel.com.
Other sponsors, you have Razi. You're on Razi for a long time. Patty K, Matt Ream, they're all like contacts of yours. But when you're with a sponsor that trusts you enough to help develop a line of skis, that's a pretty cool thing, and you did that with Black Ops. You and Chris got to develop skis. They're a foreign company. Do you go over there to help develop skis and work with guys that speak different languages? Or how are you able to develop your skis? Because I feel like there was a big launch one day. We didn't hear that much about Black Ops afterwards, but they've launched many different shapes, so it must be doing well.
Yeah, Black Ops is crushing, and I don't know if it's like too soon to say, but essentially everything freeride at Razi now on is just going to be Black Ops.
Have they gotten rid of the tips that you can see through?
Yeah, all of that is gone.
Why would they get rid of that? People fucking love that.
Yeah, but the tides are just like always changing, you know?
They are, but the dude from Texas, he wanted to see through his tips and see a honeycomb shape.
Yeah, well, that's going to be replaced. Now it's just coming back to, I don't want to say that was a gimmick.
It was, and every company copied it. Every company was doing something similar. It might have been a gimmick. It worked a little bit at least, and you could see a difference on the sales floor. Hey, you can see through this ski. The tips and tails are lighter. It was easy to tell that story, and that's why it worked. I mean, I was at a company competing with it. That fucking ski, the F7, was that what it was? Or?
Yeah. It was like the S7. It was the whole Soul series.
Yeah. Like, fuck that ski. That was like what put Razi back on the map, but they're replacing it with your ski.
Yeah, and ours was born as like an antithesis to that. So that was like the rental fleet ski your dad's on, whatever. Okay, we're going to make something new with no air tip, no marketed technology, just a bomber ski that if you step on it, you know rips. And we're going to put it on our top dudes, have them shred it, and you're going to see what the ski can do. And now that grassroots marketing and everything did super well.
Your name associated with it, you and Chris, when I see the
press release with these guys are developing these skis, I'm so stoked and I read about it because them trusting some younger kids with the future of their line, because that's kind of what they did and it seemed like it worked a little bit. How much involvement did you have?
I would say right off the bat, like that whole Black Ops thing is 50-50, me and Chris. The involvement of the ski, I didn't fly to France, say, specifically this. We just gave Rossignol dimensions we wanted, the style of ski we wanted.
Did they send you prototypes?
Yeah, they sent us a sample, and the first sample they sent us, we're like, oh, dude, this is it. We're like, don't change anything. Make that production. This is our ski. It was just the first one. We just skied in it. We're like, this is fucking amazing. And then since that, like, nothing's changed on it.
Wow, you guys are easy customers.
Well, no, it worked, though, and it's a sick ski, too. Like, I really get behind that because it rips.
I'm also a believer that anyone who's going to spend that kind of money on a ski, whatever kind of money it is, if you're going to spend $300 on a ski, you're probably going to get a good $300 ski. If you're going to spend $700 on a ski, you're probably going to get a good $700 ski, and yours is probably a really, really good one. Most skis are good. You could probably do everything that you do on almost every brand just based on your time on skis, but it's cool to have your input and your validation like, hey, not only did we give the dimensions and everything, but we tested it and it works. That's the Rossignol ad right there.
Yeah.
But we're going to go back to another brand, one that you've been with since the beginning at one point, and then you left, or I don't know what happened, but Tomahawk. Yeah. And we bring back Jimbo Morgan, who's a heavy personality. Do you have an ownership stake in Tomahawk?
I did, yeah. I had a certain percent. I don't even remember specifically what it was, actually. But
well, you seem like quite the businessman. I'm sure you don't remember the percent. Tomahawk is bleed black, and it's a little bit different than what everybody else is doing. It's just like Jimbo style and motorcycles and shit you're all about. And I think your style at that point, you hunt, ride motorcycles, dirt bag it, and just don't give a fuck. Mullet, mustache, it doesn't matter. You just live your life and are who you are. I don't know where I'm going here, but with Jimbo, what happens there? Because you're with him for a long time, and Jimbo's one of those guys where I feel like he has a switch, and if it's flipped, shit can get crazy, and you're no longer on Tomahawk. And what happens there being an owner?
It just had kind of gotten to the point where I wasn't really making money at Tomahawk.
Were you just earning percentages?
Yeah, and so I had a percentage of the brand, but I wasn't really getting what I wanted in return, and I was even spending money on it and covering costs and everything. And then there was just like some personal tiffs with Jimbo and team members who were my really good friends. That just made it super tough for me more than anything. I was on Tomahawk, I think, for 5 years. I never made any money, which I didn't really care. But then it was more, just some stupid blowouts and fights and personal things. And it was kind of like, well, if I'm having these personal issues and I'm spending money on this, it just kind of wrote itself. Like that decision kind of made itself. And there wasn't any big blowout or anything with me and Jimbo. I just wrote him one day. I was like, hey, man, I'm sorry, but it's just not working anymore. And I hope you understand. And he was totally cool about it. And he was like, yeah, I understand and best of luck on all your endeavors.
But what's strange with that is you were also on Electric and Skullcandy for a long time. And are you on them anymore?
No.
Did that end at that time as well?
No, because Jimbo had left those brands like before Chris and I even were fired from those brands. So Jimbo was already out of the picture, and then we just followed suit. Not out of choice, we just got fired. Yeah. And it sucks too, man. Like, Jimbo and I haven't spoke since then, which sucks. And if Jimbo's listening, I don't have any ill will and love you and hope you're doing well. I'm sorry it didn't work out, but that was tough too because Jimbo and I are super close. And he wound up on the worst side of that deal of not having me, where I went on and got 686 and everything. And I still feel weird about it, but it was not some big blowout or anything like that. It just kind of stopped working, you know?
Yeah. So with 686, they don't really put skiers on their program, but you're kind of like a snowboarder. You just have skis on your feet. It seems like just with all the things you do, at that point, every snowboarder seemed to have a motorcycle with a backpack on and was camping in the summer, doing all kinds of different stuff than the skiers in the world were doing. But you were doing all that stuff as well. It seemed like it just was what you did, and they were just down from the start when they met you.
Well, 686 really intentionally wanted to bring on a skier. And they were like, well, who do we bring on? And they were talking to like Tanner Hall and Bobby Brown even, I think. All different types of people. It was through me being friends with Forrest, for sure. He's like, oh, you guys should hit up Parker. And it really fit, too, with the whole line that they were promoting, because they were promoting like, hey, we're making sick backcountry gear, like Gore-Tex, technical, good gear. So we want like a power rider. Yeah, it just like made it pretty easy. A really good fit, you know. And those dudes are so cool too. Like, it was a good fit on paper, but then we went and all met each other and hung out. And it was just instant, like, such good friends and like family, dude. I know that's a cliche, like, oh, this brand's like a family, you know, but it really is, man. Those guys are so rad.
I mean, I hear you. Until the next recession, when they have to call up their family member and they're like, we still love you, but we just can't pay you. And you'll probably be understanding. Like, I get it. There's the time in the world where you can't do it. But right now, it's not that. How much do you think you've had an impact on their sales? Do you see more skiers wearing 686?
Yeah, there's tons of skiers repping 686. And Pat McCarthy, the team manager, gets hit up like constantly by skiers. So, no, it's definitely like a big presence.
Well, skiers want to be on snowboard brands. It's not many snowboard brands that have accepted skiers.
Yeah.
It seemed like in the past, if there's a skier involved in a snowboard brand, like an Anon type deal, they were like, yeah, exactly. They're like, we have them because skiing is a big market. And given they have you because they can sell to a lot more people in terms of skiers. I mean, it's a lot bigger of a market. But at least they pick someone they really like. Who else pays you to ski?
It's airhole face masks, shred goggles, Rossignol, and 686.
Have you ever made six figures from skiing?
I've done pretty well in skiing. I don't make that right now.
But it'll fluctuate. We've already mentioned why the big picture ends, but the next exciting thing that happens in your career is Level 1 has like a big reunion. Met, Chris, and you are back. You almost step back to where you started in your career. And you leave like Chris had the last closer. It's like you had the closer, Chris had the closer, you guys took a break, and then you get the closer again. It's like you never missed a beat. And is that validating that you can go back to like a Level 1 film and just be exactly where you were?
Oh, that was awesome, dude, yeah. And it was like enough time had passed that even though that was doing something we'd done before in the past, like it felt completely brand new. It's like, okay, here's a brand new project that we're going to go in on. And then it was just Friedel and I skiing together all year, just on like a tear, on a mission. Like, let's fuck shit up. Let's make this sick. Yeah, that, out of all the segments I've filmed, I think that my zigzag segment is the one that I'm most proud of, which was the closer last year. Yeah, it was good because I loved the big picture, but it was really underground, almost intentionally, its whole career. Yeah, it just felt good to get like, okay, we're going to get back on the big screen for like a year and just do it.
Level 1, it's 20 years. I mean, this is the last movie that's coming out from Level 1.
Yeah, sad.
And you spent last year in Canada, I think. Did you relocate to Nelson?
I was like in Nelson between trips, still living out of my brother's house in Bozeman as like an address and place to crash and get mail. And then since then, I'm kind of all over. Like I was living in the back of my girlfriend's CRV for the past 2 months. Yeah, I was not homeless. The first month was like intentional. Like we just did a road trip and it was really cool. And the second month it was like we didn't have a place to live. So we were kind of living in like Victoria, BC, just out of the back of her car. And we would just like park at skate parks, hang out, skate in the morning, get coffees, sleep in the CRV. And I got my dog with me. It was like 2 adults and a dog in the CRV. And then she rented a place. So I've been crashing between there, back in Montana at my brother's. And yeah, now I'm in Seattle.
The 20 premiere will come out, and it'll be the big last hurrah for everything. What should we expect from your part this year? Are you going to open a movie? Are you going to close a movie?
No. Dude, this year, for whatever reason, man, so much just like didn't line up.
You didn't get all the snow everyone else in the world did?
I got some of it. We were getting good snow. Yeah, I don't know. It was just a weird year.
Were you not landing?
I was landing, but things were getting warm. There's weird avalanche cycles, and it was just a weird year, dude. I've had very few like that, if any. But yeah, I've got a split seg with Chris and Duncan. And it's kind of like the big picture inserted into the Level 1 movie, which they kind of did a seg like that last year. I'm actually really hyped on that. And I think it's going to be sick. And it's kind of sentimental to me because it's Level 1's last film. And Chris and I are leaving kind of the same way we came in. Like to be able to share that with Duncan as well, but especially Chris. That we get the split seg together, riding as homies in the last movie. Fuck, it just fits too well. It's not like this big dramatic closing segment or whatever, but I'm actually really, really happy about it. And there's some heaters in there for sure. I just saw the raw file the other day, and yeah, it's dope. Hope everyone likes it, but if you don't, that's fine too. I don't really mind.
So where does that put you now? Level 1 is done in the full movie form. What are you filming for this year?
I'm a fucking stunt man, dude. I'm filming action films, pal. Come on, dude.
But you're going to school right now, man. You got to pay your dues. Right now, you're also a pro skier.
No, I'm just kidding.
I would think your ski career, you've got to think about what are you going to shoot for next year, because you're going to ski a lot of POW days. There's going to be cameras on you. Who's going to get that footage, and where are we going to see it? Because that's what you do.
I don't want to say too much about this right now.
Okay, well then you don't have to.
But yeah, we have an idea. And basically, Friedel and I are going to film all year together.
Okay.
Hopefully live together. But it's not going to be like a traditional segment.
So Friedel, who's like the primary film guy, other than Berman, at Level 1, is like, I am not done. Josh may be done in this form, but I'm going to film you every day, Parker. What are we going to do?
I would say it was a brainchild of ours together, but maybe even more so me, where I was just like, I'm not done. I was like, Friedel, do you want to do this? And he was like, yeah, that would be so sick. And what we're filming for and what we're going to create, we've kind of joked about for a couple years now of like, oh, if we could do this, that would be so rad. And now everything's lining up to where we're going to be able to do it. And I've spoke to the sponsors and everything. So it's going to be produced by Level 1 still. But that just means that Friedel and I are going to be together all year filming this thing. And it's going to be something, yeah, totally different than I think kind of that anyone's done, but definitely that we've ever done. It's going to be a total departure from like the, oh, I'm filming my super segment and I did this trick on this gap, you know, and all of that of just insane, heavy, oh, I'm going to hit the biggest thing, skiing. It can just be so, like, numbing almost.
I don't know. I mean, some of the pillow lines and stuff you do is never numbing when you watch it, and just the drops and drops and drops. He's going to die, he's going to die, he's going to die. He's not.
Yeah, I appreciate it, but there's something to be said for slowing that down, right? I've done that for so many years.
How old are you?
28. Yeah, I'm not even that old. I've filmed that super segment so many times that we're going to film some other shit. It's going to be really sick. So we do have a project in the works, but I don't want to spill out the whole beans right now.
Okay, you don't have to spill all the beans. It's quite all right. I have a couple other questions that I just feel like I should ask before I get into my last segment, which I call Inappropriate Questions. But right now, the first one, I hear you like to go find the biggest dudes at bars and arm wrestle them.
Yeah.
And you just do that for fun?
Yeah, it's hilarious.
I mean, it sounds hilarious.
So what you do is you find the biggest, gnarliest looking dude in the bar.
Yeah.
And you go, what's up, motherfucker? You want to arm wrestle? And they're like, what? Look at me. I'm a small dude.
Yeah.
They don't know if you're like playing a trick on them or if you're going to break their arm or something. So they get really defensive almost. But then you just arm wrestle them, you lose. Obviously.
Yeah.
Because you're way weaker than them. And then you're buddies with like the biggest dude in the bar.
Yeah.
They think it's hilarious. And then I've even done it with this one like Marine. And one of their friends was being sent overseas like the next week or something. So they're all partying with him. And I challenged one of the biggest dude at Table Marines for an arm wrestling match.
Uh-huh.
And he was like, yeah, let's go, motherfucker. And he just pinned me. And then it sparked an arm wrestling like tournament between all of them. And then the whole bar was gathered around and it was like a full-on Marine serious arm wrestling match with everybody screaming. And it's sick. So sometimes stuff like that happens.
I appreciate that you appreciate people laughing at you for getting defeated so badly.
Oh, yeah. And, dude, if you step up to the biggest dude in the bar, I don't say challenge him to a fight, but something innocent enough, it's like, dude, you're going to be friends with that guy. And that can be a good guy to be friends with, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, that's a funny move. Anyone can feel free to take that. Go arm wrestle the biggest guy in the bar, and you're going to lose. That's the whole trick.
Another question I have is I hear one thing that's been elusive to you your whole career has been a Rodeo 5, and that just, you can't do that. Is that true?
Yeah, that's completely true, yeah.
You've never been able to do that trick?
No, I can't rodeo. I used to teach kids rodeos all the time at Hood, but I never could do one myself. So I've made it through a whole career of no rodeos. Switch rodeos. No forward.
Okay.
You son of a bitch.
At this point, I have something that I'll call Inappropriate Questions.
Yeah.
And my favorite skier, Sean Decke, is going to ask you 3 inappropriate questions.
All right, nice.
Your first question from Sean Decke.
Back when you were about 13 years old and still rode chairlifts, I watched you take a piss while skiing switch down Mount Snow. Do you have any backcountry bathroom stories you'd like to share with us?
Oh, man. Backcountry bathroom stories. I've definitely shit like right at the top of my line, like a heli line right before I'm going to drop in. Yeah, I've had some emergencies for sure. I don't know if there's any great ones, though.
He was thinking of Revelstoke, if I can read his mind right
now. Yeah, that was in the backcountry. Yeah. You know that story then, yeah.
No, I don't. I just talked to him and he's like, no, you have to make sure if he doesn't get it, he knows that it's Revelstoke.
Oh my God.
Can you not tell that story? You don't have to if you don't want to.
Yeah, I can tell it.
Okay, that's great.
I was filming with Tyler Hamlet and I think Jasper Newton for like the X Games behind the scene or something.
Okay.
And I was taking a piss and like, I just farted and shit my pants. Right there. I was like, oh my God. And I just reached back, like, and I had some TP on me and like my backcountry kit.
Yeah.
And I reached back just to check and I was like, oh fuck yeah. So I full on shit my pants and I just full on wiped it out. Like Tyler was like waiting for this line and I just skied the line, just threw my TP, my shitty TP down the line. And then I just skied all day with shit in my pants. I didn't go in or anything. I just ripped it. I forgot about that. He was like, yeah, I'm like, what the fuck? He's like, why did you do that? I'm just messing with you, dude.
All right, we're going to go to question number 2.
You're heading out to go hunting, or you're at Chris Logan's house and somebody hands you bear spray. What's the first thing you spray?
Oh my God. So, yeah, this is another good story. I was going out for a hike, and we're out in Montana. There's a bunch of grizzly bears. And Chris was like, oh yeah, I got some bear spray in the garage. So I went and grabbed bear spray, whatever, and it was like, I didn't spray myself with it, but I just took a piss. It was like I touched bear spray to my dick, like when I was taking a piss. But I didn't even know, because I just handled the bear spray, it didn't go up, but all of a sudden it started burning so badly, and I was driving out with these girls to go on a hike, and I sat down, I was like, oh my God, and they were like, what? And I was like, nothing, but something really, really hurts, and they're like, what's going on? I was like, my groin is like on fire right now, it's getting worse, like I don't know what's wrong, and they're like, what? Like, what are you talking about? Like, did you have Tabasco or something? So anyways, it was really bad though. So bad that I ran into his house and I stripped off all my clothes and I'm in the shower, like in a cold shower, just trying to scrub myself out. And the water is just making it burn worse, dude. And at the point I'm like screaming and almost crying, like it's that bad.
Whoa.
And the girls come back in and they're just like, what's wrong with something? My dick is on fire. Like, I'm like crippled almost at this point. They're like, milk. Like, you gotta have milk.
Yeah.
So she pours me this glass of milk and I'm just like in the kitchen, dude, pants off, just like dunking my dick and balls into this pint glass of milk to cool it off. And it actually works. So if anyone needs to do that. But yeah, that was a big fail. Yeah. And then I put it together later in the day.
Bear spray.
Bear spray to the genitals, though.
Don't handle it and pee.
Yeah.
All right, here's his last inappropriate question.
One of the last times you were at X Games, I heard you had a bag packed with 4 pairs of skis. How many of those did you use?
Was he in X Games?
I don't think he ever was in X Games, no.
Yeah, I went to X Games, full ski bag and everything, and I just didn't even ski the whole weekend.
Were you invited to compete there?
No, I was there because I was doing like an autograph thing for Rossignol or something.
So that was a super lame question, but his first 2 were so awesome.
Yeah.
They were like some of the better ones we've had.
No, the last one I should have skied and I just showed up and just partied super hard and just didn't even bring him out of the suitcase or anything.
We'll have to come up with a third inappropriate question because his last one kind of blew. What's up with the shirt always off? It's just like you're known for not wearing a shirt, I feel like.
Yeah. Once summer hits, yeah, tarp's off.
I mean, that's it?
Yeah, I don't like shirts. I hate shirts. Because I'm a redneck, pal.
Well, it's like you're a transported redneck. It's like you were a born Vermonter who happened to have a heart from Montana, and that's where you are from now, with stops all along the way. And your whole career has been based on style. It's never been based on contests, because while you won some while you were a kid, it wasn't because you were like a contest dude that people liked you. It was because Parker White charges, Parker White goes huge. When Parker White tomahawks, it's more ridiculous than anybody else. It's like everything you do, it's all or nothing and all either style or death, it seems like. And that's why we're here today, and it's been cool to get to know you, and you're such a chill dude, which
thanks,
is always
pal.
the coolest part about you. You're like an everyday, regular dude. Well, you have a gigantic truck. I will say that.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's just a Tundra. Big for Seattle, though.
So that is our show, man. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, pal. I appreciate it, man.
So that was time with Parker White, an all-around awesome guy and a fun podcast. I enjoy hanging out with Parker whenever I see him. And if you see him, definitely challenge him to an arm wrestling match at the bar. It'll be great to see what Parker puts together for the new Level 1 movie, the final Level 1 movie, and what his season's going to be this year, because he didn't share too much, but it does sound like he has a plan going into a year without a movie company that he's filming with. So that was time with Parker White. He's an awesome guy. I am very sunburnt on vacation and getting ready to finish this so I can head down to Ocean City and ride on the OC Rocket, and then we're going to head onto the boardwalk to go on some rides and play some games. Should be a lot of fun. If you're not here, I think you should be listening to the podcast. There's nothing better to do, although I'm sure you have a lot better to do. Either way, thanks for listening. Please review me on whatever platform you listen to me on and support my great sponsors. They are Evo, Stanley, Spy Optic, and the 10 Barrel Brewery. Have a great week, everyone.